And I'm going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Girl Scouts Troop 52412. Girls, can you come up and lead the pledge for us? Just up on the podium here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, girls. And if you could all stay up there, coming up to a little proclamation that I'm going to read. I was contacted by your leaders. You've done a tremendous job and achieved a goal here in Munhall that has not been achieved in a long time. And you all stuck together and finished this project. We're going to read it here. The mayor and council members and residents of the borough of Munhall recognize Girl Scout Cadet Troop 52412 members Isabella Gallardi, Molly Krupa, Sydney McLaughlin, Mara Mercer, Abby Tester, and Brooke Weber for earning the Silver Award, which is the highest honor bestowed upon a Girl Scout cadet. The mayor and the council members of the borough of Munhall proudly cite Troop 52412 members for their focus on leadership, community problem identification, resolution, and fulfilling the requirements that each scout log 50 hours working towards the project completion. The mayor and the council members of the borough of Munhall commend the scouts along with their leaders, Laura Krupa, Carol Lawson, and Tracy Mascara, plus project advisor Kathy Oskin, who chose to host a pet adoption fair partnering with the Humane Animal Rescue. The mayor and council members of the borough of Munhall recognize these scouts who, with local business sponsorship, collected blankets, toys, gathered, distributed medical information, and made homemade treats to distribute at the fair. The mayor and the council members of the borough of Munhall commend these scouts who began scouting in kindergarten as daisies and have been together for 9 years. Have been sponsored by the Ann Ashley United Methodist Church. They represent 3 school districts, Still Valley, West Mifflin, and the Diocese of Pittsburgh, and plan to continue their journey to gold as senior scouts. The mayor and the council members of the borough of Munhall wish to congratulate the Girls Scout Cadet Troop 52412 for earning their Silver Award. And this will go to one of your leaders. Okay, let's see who's here. And this is for your personal thing for you to take home with you and put in your room. Mara Mercer. Mara?
Mark, congratulations.
Okay, Abby Tester. Okay, Abby, will give her one of your leaders. Brooke Weber. Brooke's not here tonight. Okay. Isabella Gallardi. Isabella. Molly Krupa. And Sydney McLaughlin. Congratulations, girls. Good job. And congratulations to the leaders also. You're doing a good job with these girls and staying with them through the years and watching them grow further. Okay, so thank you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Good job, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Any other preliminary announcements? Preliminary announcements?
I just have a couple preliminary announcements
Okay.
that I'd like to announce. I could announce them later, but while everyone's here, people do tend to leave. The Steel Valley High School is going to be having their play this year, and I believe it's the 21st through the 23rd. And is it the Sound of Music?
Yeah.
Right, the Sound of Music. Again, they'll do a great play. And they are going to have a matinee on the 24th at 2 o'clock. So I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. We also are going to have a fundraiser for one of our borough employees' spouses, Carolyn Cribb, is it Crib, is that how you pronounce her name? Grib, I'm sorry, Grib. That's going to be at the Thompson Club on the 24th from 2 to 7. And she's been battling cancer. So I just wanted to make those two preliminary announcements for some special events, okay? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor.
The 24th of February, from 2 to 7, the Thompson Club.
It's Sunday.
It's Sunday.
That is all. Roll call.
Councilman Ballas?
Here.
Councilman England?
Here.
Councilman Petrusi? Here. Councilman Stein? Councilman Touchant?
Here.
Councilman Bonneville?
Here.
President Paul?
Here. Okay, name notice to all public speakers, comments will be limited to 3 minutes, must avoid personal references and personalities and personnel-related issues. Our first speaker is Maureen Fry, Borough Business. Maureen, and I know you're just talking Borough Business, so I'm sure you have a few things you want to talk about, but we would be better prepared, Maureen, if you would tell us what you want to talk about, so we would maybe do our homework and know how to answer you. We want to, put a certain thing we want to talk about next month or whatever.
I totally understand. And the only reason I did that was for the past, whatever, 5 months, I did list things. And unfortunately, when it came, I asked if I could have copies of this, and there were no copies. And so when I looked at the agenda, instead of listing my questions, you guys had borough agenda, the borough business. So I just thought, why, I might as well just put borough business too. So, but I will gladly.
Okay, great.
Not a problem. Thank you, we're all here tonight. I do want to say, thank you, Mr. Vicey, for you and your crew, for the wonderful street being cleared and the garbage being picked up. Go Munhall Borough, because I think you're fantastic. Secondly, I did go see Mr. Warhol last week to ask him about the budget. And when he gave me the budget, I said to him, so this is the proposed budget? And he said, no, it was passed. And he said, it was passed? When? He said, December. Watch the video. So, I did go home, and I went on YouTube, on all council meetings, and there were no council meeting, workshop, or meetings, video for December. So, my question is, who's responsible for that website, or for knowing if it went on or not checking? I mean, is there something in this room beside that camera, which I understand is this young man in the back? Is there being videoed right now?
Only that video.
But that's not the borough website, correct?
Yeah, you can go on, if you can get on the website, you can get on YouTube, and just pull up Munhall Borough council meetings, and it'll pop up right there.
Okay, well, if any of you have a phone or any of you would like to check, I did it at least 5 times. There is no December video for workshop or the other. So
Is that true, David?
I was surprised to say.
It should be on here.
Yeah.
No, it's not
It's
on
on
the borough
YouTube, yeah.
website, is what you're saying.
Right.
You have to go to YouTube to find it. You're saying, I pull up the Munhall Borough website, I like to see it here, and it's not there. That's what you're saying.
Right.
If you go straight to YouTube,
Somebody to have
it's
that
on there.
website, or am I wrong? Is that wrong?
Becky,
If you go straight to YouTube, you'll be able to see anything that we're looking at for our borough. But our borough website, and I think I explained it to several people at the last meeting and the meeting before, that we are currently now transferring over the old website to the new website. I had access to make any changes I wanted to on the old website. I do not on the new website. So I am at the mercy, we'll say, of our website designer, who I send an email to and say, hey, can you post this? Hey, can you post this? Hey, can you post this? If she gets back to me, she does. If she doesn't, she doesn't. I have always said, and I will say it again in this meeting, if you want a copy of minutes, if you'd like a copy of agendas, anything like that, just call me in the office and I will email it to you. I'll email you
Well, you
anything that
did,
you're
I
looking
mean,
for.
you did. When I asked Joe called your name and I didn't get it.
Yeah,
So I did. I went through this and I did have some questions. And I guess I don't want to take all the time, but I'm just going to ask. I assume, and you don't assume anything, so I'll just say, is it the finance committee who puts together the budget, gets it all in order, gives it to all of you, you read it, you accept it, and then it's passed? Is that how the normal agenda goes?
It goes through a number of meetings. We have multiple years that we look back. We say, okay, this is what we're going to, this is what the bills that we're going to have, this is what we're anticipating. We say, okay, the police are going to get a 2% raise. We got to add that in there. Health benefits are going to go up. We need to buy a backhoe. We need to buy a garbage truck. Whatever it is, we just look at what we had in the past, trends, and what we're going to add to it, and we come up with the budget. We look at the budget, I started because I have paid to look through it and get all the information together. I forwarded it to all the council. We have multiple meetings. I think we had a half dozen meetings. We bring in the police, the fire, public works, sanitation, administration. We go through each thing and say, what are we going to need? What could we cut out? And we go through all these meetings, council looks at it, and we get a final copy, everyone looks at it, and then they vote on it. And then the December meeting, we voted on it, it was approved, and then we also had an ordinance to approve the millage of 10.75, which was not increased from the previous years.
Right. Which I think all of us were very happy about. I will just ask you just a few things. Under the public safety, which all of us I'm sure are concerned about, there is a general expenses amount for 2018 of $55,500. But for 2019, it's only $18,000. That's a drop of $37,500. And my question is, why did you put down $37,000? Can you explain that?
Well, you know what, Marlene? That's one of the questions you can get answered by walking into the office. I hope Joe has the answer today, but I'm sure I don't. But if Joe can, but those are the kind of questions you could prep us for in advance, and we'll have the information for you, so we're not embarrassed to say we don't know.
Okay, I'll do that. One other thing, and it was paid. We make a donation of $130,000 to the library. Would you just tell me what's that about? I mean,
residents of law passed, it was law.
wait, one answer, go ahead.
It was law passed by the residents of the Borough of Munhall. I mean, it didn't pass largely. I think it was about 51 to 49%. But they, the library lobbied to have a tax. You know, part of the taxes go to them. And it was voted on by the citizens of the Borough of Munhall. And also the Borough of Homestead and West Homestead. And Whitaker also voted on it, but I don't believe they passed it. Whitaker didn't, Whitaker's residents didn't approve it. But we did, so we have to live by that.
Okay, then that's why that figure's the same, which I understand.
It was a referendum on election day, back when it was voted on.
Okay, I know I asked, but I just want to know for my own peace of mind and anybody else who's interested, is there anything we should know about the Willis Center? Or have we heard absolutely anything from the architect regarding Willis? And then the same for the Borough building. I know Mr. Varhola told me to have a new cleaning company for the Borough building. He's not using it, he said, but I would ask Mr. Campbell, are you getting clean in the police department?
I did not say that we're not using it.
You said you want to use it.
Don't point at me, and I didn't say that. I said we are using it. Every Tuesday and Thursday, they come in and they clean.
In your office, you said you did not want them to come into your office.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I'm referring to. You said you didn't want them. Mean your office.
Well, I understand now.
Okay. So my question is, are you satisfied, Mr. Campbell, in the police department area?
With what they're doing, truly I'm not. Mr. Warhol and I have already spoke about this. He's looking into a different group because the group that showed up really hasn't done a whole lot.
Okay.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
This is February. We brought this up in December. And they've not done anything. Nothing's been done. If you look at the floor, when you walk into the borough building, it's embarrassing. And it's worse than the police station. It's not clean. I don't know if it's clean up here. So, and I'll further talk about that a little bit later, but I'm not satisfied at all.
Okay. And regarding the fire department, and I know Mr. Bondidian is normally the person, is there anything, do we have any idea about the fire department, staying?
They have no access to the
changes?
fire department.
No.
That's locked. They have no access over there.
She wasn't talking about that.
You're talking about
No, not the cleaning service. I meant, like with the borough building plans,
No, I thought you meant the cleaning company. No, they have no access over there.
You're talking about the fire station here.
Yes, yeah.
Well, right now, it's gonna stay where it's at till, whatever decision is made with the borough building. And I understand that, it's gonna be here for quite a while.
It's gonna stay here.
I
That's
ain't guaranteeing it for how long. We might have to go to another building years down the road. But right now, it's gonna stay where it's at.
wonderful. Got it. The last thing is agenda, or on the agenda, motion number 4 says about the students being paid $8.50 for summer help. I assume, and you never assume, are the students, our kids from Steel Valley who are the workers for Steel Valley summer program? I don't know who to address the question to, so that's why I'm just looking around.
Are they all residents?
First of all, they're all
Munhall residents.
Yeah, they're all Munhall residents.
They are Munhall residents. That's what I'd like to know.
Some are out of school, some are in college.
That's okay, just so there's, Steel Valley kids. And thank you again, Mr. Bison, for doing your credit.
Michael Ward. Michael, let her know. Charles Parnell.
Thank you. Most of the people I talk to, just about all of them, are in agreement about the sad thought that we might lose this Munhall Borough building. And the mayor has said before that the people want it. All of my friends who live here still want this borough building. Friends of mine that live out of town that know this building don't want to see it go. And I respectfully now appeal to all members of the council to discuss putting up the Willis Center for sale, advertising it in the newspapers and where else it might be advertised, and to use the proceeds towards the betterment of this building. Whatever proceeds we could get from selling the Willis Center would be a great help to keeping this building, and I just can't see it go. It's been here all my life, and everybody else I talk to wants it, and the people of Munhall want it. The people over here, when I was here the last few meetings, when it was mentioned about the Willis Center, there was a lot of grumbling. It was very obvious they don't want to see this building go. So again, I respectfully appeal to the council to please begin advertising for the Willis Center for sale, and the proceeds to be used towards the betterment of this building and keeping it. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Mr. Parnell, please don't run out. I'd like to thank you for coming. I indeed have talked to many of the residents as well, and they do feel the way you feel. And I appeal to the council members as well to put the property up for sale. Thank you for your input.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Some final officials, ready to go right into the mayor?
Oh, thank you. Well, Maureen, you've taken a lot of my topics that I wanted to talk about.
I'm sorry.
cleaning of the borough building, though, is one that I'd still want to touch on somewhat. There's no reason for us to be letting this go any longer. I asked to have $12,000 put into the budget so that we could have a proper, real cleaning company come in here and clean the building. And by cleaning the building, it's not just taking a cleaning rag and wiping it on. We need it to be scrubbed, professionally scrubbed, all the grime and whatnot taken off the floors with professional tools, waxed, buffed, and cleaned. There's no reason why it's not been done, and I still don't understand what the holdup is. On that note, I'm going to move to a couple other things. The website, I questioned the website as well. Maureen Fry brought that up, and I had asked that the play be put on the website with Becky and the fundraiser put on there as well for that spouse of our employee.
Yes, you
And I did see you put an email back out stating that you had to ask for the web
do. I use the
person
web designer,
to
yeah.
do that. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the web
That-
designers have to, they don't give us access on their back end to make the changes.
That's no way to run our website. We're not in control of our website. There's too much time lag there.
Well, again, I'm wondering if we want to discuss possibly getting a new website designer and a whole new website. I mean, I hate to lose what we put into it and the money we've spent on it, but that
Well,
may be
we've
a
spent,
decision for council.
it's not working, honestly.
Anything we could do to make it more efficient.
But, yeah, I would, absolutely I would. And again, I'm
It's
willing
not-
to give anybody any of the information that I can't post anything.
That's no good. And I'm addressing everyone.
Is there any way, Becky, we can talk to them to give you the rights to post?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we can still use them instead, rather than starting all over again, if they can give you the posting rights.
Oh, if I could just touch on that. We had the website. When we had the website, we called the web designer that we already had.
And who is that?
It's Holt Web Design.
Holt?
We were happy with Holt Web Design. Becky was able to put whatever she wanted. But it was antiquated. We needed to upgrade it so people could fill in forms and pay online. And that's what we wanted to get there. We're trying to get there. Unfortunately, and we don't even know why we aren't being able to do this. But Becky called her Thursday and told her that, hey, we're getting pressure from council to put on us to get this website up and running. And it looks like she had some movement the last day. We will find out. I hate to throw out all the work that's been done and then start over and have to pay somebody new. We don't have any money invested in this, very little, for this part that she just upgraded. So we're working through this to say, hey, let's get this done already and move on.
Well, it gets an F. It's a failure. That was something that I would have liked to sat in on that meeting. Again, I was not asked to sit in on that website meeting. And honestly, it's the borough website. It's not Munhall Council's website. It's Munhall's website. I have as much input to put on that website as any councilman or any person here. If I have a message that I want to put out, I have to ask the web designer, can I put this out? That's not good. That's not good.
You don't have to ask her if you can, you have to ask her to put it on.
I understand.
There's a difference.
What's the turnaround from the time that you request something to the time that they put it on there?
We don't feel this is a long-time solution. We think this is, while they're building the rest of the website, once it's completed, we feel we're going to be able to go back on it, correct?
You have to understand, they're working on autofill forms that we're gonna be able to fill in. Like if somebody goes out there and they want to do a right to know request, they're gonna not, right now, they have to print it out and either fax it back or scan it back via email. They're gonna be able to go in and automatically fill that form in and hit submit, and it's gonna go directly to the borough office and they'll know immediately. There are gonna be all kinds of different things that you'll be able to do with the autofill, but that's what they're spending their time on, is trying to create those things that we've been missing off the old site. They got the general site up, but they're working really hard on fixing those issues on the backside of those forms and creating the things that we need.
So typically this morning, when we had all kind of delays, we're gonna, West Run Road is gonna be closed today because there's a water main break on West Run Road.
Right.
You can't put that on your website.
We would currently, what I would do currently is put it out on the Crime Watch page, because everybody is on that Crime Watch page. That's where the majority of our.
I understand we have the Crime Watch page,
Yeah.
I understand that. But we're talking about our Munhall Borough website.
Correct, right.
So
Right now, correct.
we can't do that. So that's an issue, and we need to
Okay,
move
we're
forward.
working on the website as far as upgrading it, but it's gonna take a little bit of time. You just can't do it overnight, and what she's doing, I
Well,
think.
we've been working on it for how long?
We've been working on it a while.
Yeah.
And we get it. We get it. That's why I said, if anybody wants anything from me, you need minutes for something that you can't link out to out there. If you need agendas, anything like that. I got calls several times today and said, would you like me to send those to you? Would you like me to send those to you? I said, I absolutely will offer to do that for anyone.
I'm not saying that there's anything that you're doing
No, I'm not taking that
I'm
personally.
speaking about the website and how we can get it better for the residents, because the residents are not happy with what's going on the website. We're not seeing anything, so
Oh, give us
just
a
like-
little bit, give
just
us
like-
a little bit more time, and we'll try to make it go a little faster, so we can get it up and running the way it's supposed to be.
just like today, for the agendas.
Yes.
The agenda was not put up on till today. So how did you get it on there today? Did you have to put it on 3 days ago?
No, I emailed her this morning 3 different times and said, look, people are calling me. Can you get this up there for me?
So they can't put it in that quickly then?
They can.
They can.
They can if I keep bothering them about it.
Well,
Absolutely,
okay.
they can.
Okay. So, pardon me?
Paying them.
Well, I'm sure we paid them.
We are, but we're not paying them a lot of money. If we want to shut down the program as we see it, we can shut it all down and get a whole nother web designer. Now, I can say, after doing conversations with different web designers, we are gonna pay a lot more money for what we are getting. But we can
I think we
do
should give it,
that.
I mean, let's give it a month, see where we're at next month. Hopefully, we see a lot of improvements, and I have faith.
You know, if we don't, we'll come in another direction.
Next month, let's make a decision. Let's give it 30 days rather than start all over again.
Very good.
Let's give it 30 days. We'll see this meeting next month in March, how we are.
Another thing I wanted to bring up was the residents, those of you that are senior citizens, it was brought to my attention in speaking with one of our residents that seniors can apply to the Steel Valley School District, and you can apply and get a pass. And at the school district, they'll give you a senior pass, gives you admission to the plays, to the basketball games, all the football games, anything else that's on there that they do, they give you a free ticket to get in.
What's
So
wrong with a
I'm
senior?
62 years old, so I'm getting close.
I've had mine for 3 years. That's been there for years.
Mayor, if I might take a
Well, that's
little
great.
credit on that. When I started in the school district in 1980, I think it's been like that since about 1982. I have my gold card, and it's exactly as the mayor said. You can get into any event and talk about plays and basketball games and anything that's going on in the school district. It's really worthwhile to have.
Well, thank you, thank you. And
Avail yourself.
that's why I'm bringing it up, because the residents don't know that. These are
Put it on the website.
these are things that we put on our website. Right, so it's just general information that can be put out there. I never knew it existed. I didn't know until a couple days ago, speaking to someone, and I'm sure a lot of the residents don't know that. Getting back to our website though, the residents don't know that they have to go to YouTube to look at these videos. They should be put on our website. They shouldn't have to go to
Correct,
YouTube.
correct. When Dave sends them to me and I'm able to put them up and get them up, I will put them up as a link. They don't even know they're on YouTube.
They don't know, they don't, but they're
No, what
not,
I'm saying is.
they're not there.
They don't, well, correct, right, now they're not, you're right, they're not.
well, that's, again, that's no good. They haven't been on since December, is that right?
January, on there. January, the workshop, I think, is on there.
Okay. Again, we need to, that needs to be changed. And I'm bringing that to the attention of our council and our residents that we need to do that. Reviewing some of our budget, our actual budget loss statements. Did you guys read the budget loss statements that we got? And I've talked about this in the past, and I just want to bring this number up because it struck out to me as a number that I questioned from the very beginning, and it's cost of our borough insurances. Our borough insurances increased from the proposed number to a number of $69,000 more than what was budgeted. And that's the cost difference of, is that the cost difference of the prior insurance that year? Or is that the new carrier's insurance? So,
Most of that has to go with workman's comp, and workman's compensation based on their salaries. So from the one year to the next, they use that, and then every year since I've been here, it's always going to be an increase, and we have to pay extra for workman's comp. That's not unusual.
so could you go over that number with me at a later date? Because I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then also we had some fire department expenses. They, instead of the fire department insurance expense, they came over to the borough. In the past, they had a Munhall Borough fire truck, say it's in the borough's name, and it was insured by the fire department, and vice versa. We might have had a fire department in the bureau's name that we were, so the two fire insurance agent and our new agent got together and say, let's fix this issue. And we
Okay.
did.
I'd like to go over that with you and sit down and you can show me that. I'd like to see that. Finally, I have a question for President False and Council, but specifically to President False. I've been told that we have employees going out cleaning the Willis Center out, bringing garbage out of there, trucks out of there. Are we calculating that expense on numbers that are going to be spent into the Willis Center? And also, I question whether it's safe for them to be going into that building yet, working in there with asbestos in the building, and it's not been abated yet. So I question what's going on there. I think for the safety of our employees, there should be some, before we go in there and start working, which we're going in there working, pulling stuff out, and I know there's loose asbestos in that building, throughout the building. I think it puts our employees in danger. And I'm wondering, are you directing them to do that? Council directing them to do this?
I realized that they were in there. I know that they were in there working, but I don't know what type of work they're doing in there. I know they
We'll do
were
everything to make it safe.
out.
Just do everything
As long as
possible
they're
to
being
make
safe,
it safe.
They weren't cleaning anything up. They were taking out old tables and cabinets and different things like that. They weren't
So
cleaning
that's
anything.
working in the building, Joe.
Yeah.
And that puts
We
everyone
do
invested
own
in there.
it. We
I
own it.
know we own it, and we have the liability of being in there.
That's true.
And no one should be in there working in there until any asbestos has been abated.
Okay.
So I'm asking President of Council.
Generally speaking, if there's non-friable asbestos, which we don't have any evidence that there's not, unless they're creating dust, i.e. sawing, ripping things up, you're generally at no risk.
So let me ask you then, since you're the engineer, if I'm walking through the building and I'm crunching on asbestos tile that's tattered in the floor, I'm creating dust. Yes, I am. So I'd cautious us on what we're doing. And that's something very serious to to discuss. In finishing, I spoke to our residents that were here at our workshop last week. And again, Maureen, she beats me to so much stuff today. I'm not real happy with her. But our public works is the best in the valley. We know that. And today was a typical example. The roads were very bad today. I couldn't make it up Homestead Duquesne Road all the way this morning. I turned off Woodhill and made my way back up to my house that way. The county does what they can do, but they're nowhere near as good as our crews got there. And my hat's off to our crew, our street department.
Going down Homestead Duquesne Road was much more treacherous, I assure you.
Anyway, I just want to talk about our police officers and our first responders, which I started last week, and I talked about Sergeant Cibula, Officer Tishon, and Officer Velisca. I'm sorry, Sergeant Tishon as well, thank you very much. What people don't realize, and even me as a son of a police officer, don't realize every day, and I do realize because I've heard stories of my father through the years, but being the mayor now, I see firsthand what our officers are doing. I talk to them, and they tell me this and they tell me that, what's going on. These three officers were first responders. You know, they're there responding to a fire in Munhall. Officer Cibula grabs a hose, he's knocking the fire down until the fire company comes. You know, my hats go off to them. They go above and beyond every day, and all of them are that way. It's not just one of them. Every officer in our department is a good police officer, and I say that firmly, and I believe that. Officer Hayden needs to be accommodated, an accommodation given to him this past week. He was a first responder on 17th Avenue. He saved a woman's life there. She had injured herself. He was the first person on the scene. He actually saved the woman's life. And I don't want to go into details. It's a gruesome detail, but some people in their lives get mixed up in their lives today. And these officers have to deal with situations immediately. And he basically saved the woman's life. And I wanted to bring that to the attention of the people of the town and to the councilman again as well, that we have a great police department. Thank you very much, Pat Campbell, for being the chief and leading the way with our guys. They're first rate out in the field. We can't thank them enough. I'm going to end in that. I'm going to end in one other thing, though. To the public, and I'm making this statement out to the public, just be aware of the handicap signs in the borough. I'm getting complaints, people are parking in the handicap signs, handicapped people can't use them. I'm going to instruct the police officers to start ticketing people in the handicap zones again. I'm going to press that issue with Pat Campbell. He doesn't know that he had no word for me about that, about me thinking about that.
I know now.
Yeah.
He's listening.
Honestly, we have a good rapport. We work together. I try to put input with him, and I have a few other things I'm going to be hitting with him a little bit later he doesn't know about yet either. So anyway, thank you all very much for attending. Council, thank you for listening to me for my 10 minutes.
Hey, report of the solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. President. 2 months ago, this council voted to approve a memorandum of understanding with the police union in connection with the drop plan. It's a deferred retirement option plan. It's part of the pension plan that was approved in the collective bargaining agreement, and the terms were approved by ordinance. There's a state law that sets forth how a drop plan works, and this has all been done previously. The reason this has come up in December and I'm raising it again is because we now have our first applicant officer who wants to enter into the drop program. And just quick summary for the public, what that means is the officer will officially retire for purposes of the pension. The pension is frozen and they don't start collecting that, but they can continue working for 3 years and be compensated as a police officer, but they're not part of the pension plan anymore. That's how it works.
And so because we have our first applicant entering the program, we had to work out some of the final details. And specifically what this does, we had some final clarification negotiating with the police union in terms of the officers are allowed to take payment for unused sick days in the ratio of 2 to 1 and some unused vacation days. And it's the same option that a normally retiring officer would have. So we clarified that, and we already approved this in December, but we just put some more clarification in it. So I'm going to ask that this be added as a motion at the end of the agenda to approve the revised memorandum of understanding pertaining to the drop program for police officers. So, Becky, if you could make a note of that, please. That concludes that. Just some other things. There's also a motion for animal control officer with Sable. I reviewed that and drafted an addendum that I'm requesting and recommending be added to the contract. And there are other agreements I reviewed, such as the Code Red. These are all items on the agenda. So that is all I have to report at this time.
Thank you. So, report of the manager.
Probably a lot of that is the same thing on my report. A couple things I like to pull out is, we talked about notifying the residents on the website or on the Crime Watch page. Well, tonight we're going to vote on Code Red. Code Red is a mass notification system that everybody in the borough, whether you're on the computer, you're on the cell phone, or you want a phone call to your home, will be able to sign up for it. So when there are water main breaks or a fire or a missing person or something, you get notified however you want, one of those ways or all those ways. Second thing is 2019 banner community recognition. It will be coming up. We are another banner community again this year from based on Allegheny County's around it. And the Store Authority, to all councils, Store Authority is requesting a meeting with all 3 boroughs. On my report, there's some times. I can't say 2 councilmen
I got back to
you got back to me on
a couple rough dates for me. But
both
only good in the evening.
Yeah, both of them are February 27th in the evening. So hopefully we can everyone can look at one, and I'll be in touch with all of you.
Okay.
John, I think you want to mention what the cost of Code Red is.
Code Red, we'll do that in the agenda. 2983.
Yeah, but it's no
No
cost.
cost to the residents.
No cost to the residents to sign up, right, I'm sorry.
The Code Red, it moves us into this century, I think. It's, some of the concerns were voiced earlier. It's one of the coolest things I think I've been part of.
I just got an email today that my Lebanon has signed up with it as well.
Well, we're going to beat them.
That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Report of the engineer.
So you all have my full report. Can give an update on a couple topics. One of them is what's going on with the Willis Center. So as was voted on last month, TKA Architects was hired to do a 30% design. The police chief and the borough manager and myself had a chance to meet with them this week to discuss their progress, floor plans. Everything's progressing nicely. They think there's going to be another 3 or 4 weeks conservatively, they think, to report. So they'll have some preliminary floor plans and building elevations. They're also going to have reports regarding HVAC, MEP, structural, elevators, roof, and updated costs. A lot of the questions that came up over the course of the last several months. When we get that, it's been discussed that there's going to be a public meeting to present some of that and show some plans. So that's the plan and the update at this point. And so that's that. Along those same lines, discussed with the architect and along with several other colleagues and people with the borough, had an idea that we really should update this environmental survey that was done in 2005. And with that in hand, we could potentially execute an early demolition package. So whether the building becomes office space, rented to tenants, it's sold, or it becomes office space for borough employees, it's something that's gonna need to be done. And if it is gonna be rented space or office space, it would help you progress the construction schedule. So in order to do that, we would start by updating the environmental survey, and then we will put a spec together to remove and abate whatever needs to be removed, at least the majority of it.
Colin,
Yes, sir.
could you explain what an environmental study is?
They test for asbestos, mold, lead, whatever potential contaminants. It's a professional, so they go in there and they sample, they look at all the known places where we think there might be stuff or where they think there might be stuff, and they give us a report, they tell us what condition they're in, and then they make recommendations on how to safely remove that. So, that's what it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get some quotes to do it potentially if council deems it appropriate, and get that stuff removed and just have it updated, since the information we're dealing with now is from 2005. Finally, just one other quick thing. We had a call last week to discuss a potential grant opportunity with DCNR related to some money that we might be able to get for the parks. We discussed one park in particular, Vine Street. They recommended that we look at a more comprehensive, that we might have a better opportunity. When I say they, we talked to the COG, Steel Rivers COG. And we might have a better opportunity to get grant for something that served a broader community. So like Munhall Parks altogether, maybe get some upgrades, fence replacements, playground equipment, whatever it is. So that's something we might want to start looking at as kind of a plan for the parks. It does require 50% match from the borough, so we have to have a budget in mind for the project before we go into it. I know some of you guys are interested in Parks and Rec on council and other people, so it might be something we might want to look into further. I went too long, so that's it.
Could you forward that information on to the Parks and Rec, maybe to Joe as the Park and Rec Chair? And Joe can forward that on to the Parks and Rec Board too?
Sure. I could just type up some minutes of our meeting with them, and Becky, we can figure out deadlines and stuff like that. Yep.
Colin, question. I know they've started the Harvey Street job,
Yes.
and I see they're digging on the I guess, the northern side of Harvey Street.
Right.
Are they coming into the street at all?
They're gonna have to come close to that catch basin. I think we're optimistic that he has to connect that pipe. There's a concrete pipe and it ends directly at the road. So I think we're optimistic that he might be able to get into it without cutting into the road.
So on the other side of that pipe, are they going to do anything at the face of that there?
Yeah, they're gonna put in an end wall there.
They are going to put in one?
Yeah.
Very good.
So that should help eliminate some of the debris if it's trapped in that pipe. That 48-inch pipe is filled with
It's a mess.
bricks,
I
sticks,
know.
tree limbs.
It's totally a mess.
Yeah, so they're gonna get that all cleaned out. And, yeah, just like a face wall,
Right.
so.
No, it won't jam it up.
So hopefully that should alleviate a lot of the
So
problems.
there is another pipe that comes in there that runs all the time, the water's running all the time. That's still gonna dump in the front of that?
It's gonna come, yeah, to the front and discharge in the
Okay.
front. But they're gonna put some rock behind the wall, the new wall there. So hopefully it'll streamline it a little bit.
So from that point now, going further south, we'll say, the road has pretty much been compromised. It's very close to being compromised right there.
Okay.
Are we going to do anything there with that?
Yeah, they're gonna put, it's riprap, embankment protection. It's a fancy word for rocks, but they're gonna dig, they're gonna put some fill in, they're gonna put some geotextile fabric down, and they're gonna put about a 2-foot layer of rocks
And
there.
is that gonna be like, is it gonna have metal encasing it, holding it in place, or is it just gonna be powder?
It's
On
gonna
a
be
slope.
sloped at an angle such that it won't fall. I think it's like a It goes out 2 horizontal to 1 vertical and comes into the stream a little bit. So that's that was one of the items we had to have permitted.
So are they gonna clean the whole creek out while they're doing that,
They're-
I would imagine?
We put a pay item in there, so they're gonna clean a lot of the large debris out, and they're gonna do some grubbing along the hillside, like tree limbs that are dead and hanging over, they're gonna be removing stuff like that. But we don't want them cutting down trees and, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay, then further up the beginning of the property now, where the pipe is turned, you said you were gonna turn that pipe, straighten that out, correct?
We're gonna adjust the alignment of the pipe a little bit, same thing as the other end. So there's a concrete pipe under the road. We're putting in, the new pipe is gonna be plastic. It's replacing the pipe that's failing. We're gonna adjust the alignment of the pipe a little bit to get it away from pointing directly at that hillside.
Right.
And then the hillside is gonna be dressed with stone to protect it in the event that there's some overtopping or water levels get high there, and to hopefully stabilize it.
Good. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I'm glad you
Yes,
explained
Steve.
that to everyone, because it's a mess down there, and I'm glad they started.
I understand, yeah, the process was longer, obviously they've been dealing with some real inclement weather here. At -7, it rains 3 or 4 times a week.
It's been terrible
it's
work out there, I
snow,
know that.
It's tough.
The next 7 days look pretty good though.
We're optimistic that they can get done before we get into April and, you know, we start getting a lot of rain.
Thank you, thank you all.
It's possible to get more rain, so.
Okay, Public Works Supervisor, Bob, again, great job. I'm gonna echo it.
Thank you.
I was, you know, I know if I lived in a lot of other communities, I would have probably called off this morning. But I made it to work. It took me a little longer because I have to go through the city of the Parkway, but
Can't help you there.
I know that's out of our jurisdiction. We can't do anything about my trip in on the Parkway and over the Homestead, Grace Bridge.
Yeah, all I have is the new truck came in on the 4th, and we got about 1,500 ton of salt on standby, so we're good.
Are we doing anything with the waterfront right now as far as plowing, or are they taking care of everything? Do you know?
We just do what we always do.
We're still going down there and doing it?
They're supposed to handle all that, that's the maintenance agreement.
Yeah, the new maintenance
Yeah, the new maintenance agreement, they're supposed to
Getting
handle
out of
that.
that.
That's what I wondered, there is
Yeah.
no maintenance.
And that maintenance agreement will start in June.
Yeah.
Joe,
Oh, it's been,
It's not
right.
in June.
that's when it starts.
I thought it started after everyone signed it.
Not with the, not as far as that.
Not with the plow. We'll need it in June.
Next year.
Maybe you could keep that in mind in June, there is a maintenance agreement in progress. They're supposed to take care of that.
23.
Okay, please, Chief.
President, this month responded to 459 calls of service for the month, 49 arrests, 109 citations issued. I have nothing else this time unless you have questions.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, our fire chief, he was earlier, he said he was in some training he had to go to, but the fire chief did submit his report. Code enforcement officer.
You have a copy of my report. The only thing I want to add is I want to thank Jackie Coles. Around 3 months ago, she was talking to a female that had moved into the district, and she had told her that she didn't have any firearms in her house. Jackie gave me the lady's information. I called her. I got in contact with the owner of the property, went and did my inspection. They had put firearms in, smoke detectors, GFCIs. Just last month, her carbon monoxide detectors went off. Her 20-year-old son and 11-year-old son were able to get out of the house. She called 911. The gas company came and they said she was in there for 30 more minutes longer. She wouldn't die. So I want to thank Jackie for bringing that to my attention.
Thank you. Okay, public comments on agenda items. And items for consideration for next meeting. Donna? Oh, it's Donna, there's Donna over there too. I'll go this Donna first on the right side, unless you want to defer.
No, go ahead, let's go first. Well, thanks, you doing?
You're welcome, Dawn. If you'll make sure you give me your name and your address.
Dawn Onda.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. My question is on motion number 5, regarding the summer help student. My questions are, or 4. No, 5. Anyhow, where was the job posting posted? Was it on a website? Was it here in the Borough building? Was it Valley Near? Was it word of mouth? How was it put out there?
Since I've been here, it never was. It was just word of mouth. People come in. We take the ones that worked the year before, and we get applications every year from others.
How many of these are from prior?
They're all prior, they're all working.
No,
Except for
couple of them,
Two. After.
two of them haven't. So.
Okay.
We
So-
sent
so
notices
basically
out
it's
to the
word of
ones
mouth.
that- We sent notices out to people that worked last year. I believe Joe emails them or calls or whatever and sees if they want to come back. And if they say they do, and Bob Bicey says they were a good employee, we put them back on.
Then you bring them back. Okay. Now, I don't know, since there are returning summer help, do they go through background checks, drug and alcohol checks, criminal background checks?
We did drug and alcohol before, background checks, yeah, we don't go through a criminal background check, but we do, look into them to find out who they are, what kind of kids they are. Do they want to work, or the parents send them out there, or whatever, yeah, we try to look.
You do those, and you have records of them. You
Yeah.
have records of the results for all these 9 students.
We don't do a criminal background check on a juvenile.
Okay.
We can't.
Drug and alcohol?
That's not my department, I don't do that.
Drug and alcohol?
Done, I mean,
I know they're tested during the summer. I mean,
we have done it before, randomly, we do it just like everyone else when they're hired.
Either you do or you don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's a yes or no question.
Pardon me?
It's a yes or no answer.
No.
Do you think we should?
I don't know for an 8-week summer job if it's worth the cost to go through. Well, then we know most of the kids.
So it's through word of mouth then? That's how these kids get these jobs?
Since I've been here, I don't know if they did anything before I was here. How they did it, I don't know. Anybody want to?
Before I was here.
Yeah, they used to advertise years ago. It was in the paper. They were advertised.
Okay. And last but not least, and it was touched, Rainey touched it, these 9 students, summer help, they are all definitely Munhall residents. They're not from West Mifflin?
Correct.
They're not from West Mifflin?
No.
Okay.
I heard 4 of them worked, and I pulled it up on the website that they are, so.
I mean, in the past, there was an occasion one time a few years ago, the mom lived in Munhall, the father lived somewhere else, but the son lived with the mother. So, there may be, I don't know if there's any situation like that this year. I don't believe so.
We had it last year where somebody had a Munhall address. They lived in Lincoln Place. The councilman saw them, knew the person, said that person doesn't live in Munhall, therefore that person didn't get a job. So we have, did something fall through the cracks? Possibly. If something falls through the cracks and we hire these people, we find out they're not living in Munhall. We can get rid of them at any time. These aren't union positions. We have to go through a process. We're looking for people who want to work, to come here. As far, I have, like I said, this is going on my 4th year. I have not heard any issues that we ever had to change the processes.
And that's fine.
But if you're referring to anybody in particular?
No.
Let me know if you do know.
But if you want, that Evan Kostelnik, that's my grandson.
Okay.
Okay. Well, he stayed with me last year till we finished Steel Valley. Then they moved to West Mifflin, which he is right there now. But he will be moving back to Steel Valley at the end of this month.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know. I thought maybe you were talking about my grandson.
No. That was a general question.
West Mifflin. So that's about the only one I know.
Okay. Good. You cleared that up for us. Thank you.
Okay, the other done.
Thank you. Motion 1, I know you touched on this last week at the work session. How many of these parcels are with the joining properties, like Mr. Tishon brought up? Are you gonna offer it to one of those homeowners on either side of it first? See if maybe they wanted the property, or?
I would think that the process would be whoever wants it, if it's an auction, whatever we get more revenue from is where we're gonna go. Is that correct?
We have to go that way. We can't offer it to anybody. So real estate, we have to publicly advertise it, and the highest bidder gets it.
Okay, so we're gonna,
I think that
we're not
just
gonna
to
auction
defend-
it off, we're gonna, let me finish first, to clarify myself. We're not gonna auction it off, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put an advertisement in the paper, and you're gonna come down and put bids on it, and then the bids will be open at a public meeting?
Correct.
But you know what would even be better, I think, wherever the properties are, to post something on a pole so that people on either side of the property know that that's gonna happen, because sometimes they don't. Some people don't have access to
Some
those
people
things.
don't read the newspaper,
That's true.
they might not see it
But they
online.
might see it on a pole next to their building.
And if we do go to advertise this, where will we be advertising these properties? What papers? Just the Valley Mirror, not the
I
Post
would say
Gazette?
so.
That's up to council. There's a big cost differential. but
I
it's
understand
their
there's a
choice.
cost differential,
Yeah.
but not everybody picks up the Valley Mirror. People do pick, they can read the Post Gazette online now.
But this is kind of a local, really a local issue, Donna. So that's why I'm
You
guessing.
never know, you might have a big developer want to come in and buy one of these.
And by
parcels.
10 feet, by 10
You
feet.
never know.
Well, we can put it on our, you know, I think
I was told
that
years ago, whenever they passed the legislations to move liquor license from municipality to municipality, that nobody would ever want to come into Munhall and open another establishment that needed a liquor license, because Munhall transferred a liquor license somewhere else, and then somebody did have to come back and transfer a liquor license back to Munhall because it wasn't here.
We can also put them on the
Mix me up, Donna.
I know, I'm just saying if you pay attention.
we can also put them on our crime watch and the website.
Okay. Do we have a listing of the lot and block numbers that are available?
We do.
And are they all vacant? Are they with no buildings on there? Are they empty parcels?
All vacant.
Okay, thank you.
And do we own them all?
Well, I'm gonna verify to be sure. First thing I'll do is order title searches to guarantee that we have title, make sure I have a full understanding of any issues with the title, and then if everything looks clear to proceed, then I'll begin preparing the advertisement.
When you go to do the title search, approximately what is the cost of each title search?
I have a title searcher that we use for all of our municipalities, typically about $125 for a search, somewhere in that area.
And are they very thorough when they go to do the
Yes,
search? Okay, thank
that's
you.
all they do, the full-time title searchers.
That's all they do?
That's it.
So we're looking on,
short, isn't it, once you do the title search?
not all the time.
No, we don't get a policy. If you were, that would be more for a buyer to guarantee that they're getting clear title. That's typically what you see when someone's buying a house. They get title insurance policy to guarantee that if there are any liens or encumbrances that weren't caught, then there's insurance to cover that. But as a seller, we wouldn't worry about that anyway. We sell it as is, where is, no warranties. I just need to make sure that we own it, as the mayor indicated, and also make sure we don't have any title problems on our end. Otherwise, then it's just essentially buyer beware. Here's what we have, you take it as is, check the title yourself, that kind of thing.
So you're doing a title search, and then they'll have to do another title search where
They don't
there's
have to do anything.
possibility there could be a quiet
They don't have
claim
to
on
do
it.
it.
They
They
don't have
can
to
do
do
whatever they
anything?
want. That's up to
Okay.
them, to what extent they want to go. A lot of these are undesirable parcels. I don't know about them right now, but I've done this many times. But oftentimes they're undesirable parcels, they're small, only a neighbor.
I understand that, and that's coming up with my next question on that, is because how many of these parcels that we're gonna be building are gonna be non-conforming lots, and they're not gonna be at the right size that you can go ahead and put a structure on?
I don't think you.
Have we checked onto that?
I don't
think
know,
you
but
could
that
put a house
yeah,
on
that's-
That would come out of your search, I would think.
Well, you can't, if you can't put a garage on one, if you can't put a house on one, because you need a primary structure in order to put an accessory structure on it.
Whatever zoning.
So that would make it sense for the homeowner next to it to purchase that.
How this all came about is on our insurance, the insurance agents that we had prior had maybe 10 properties that we had, that we were insured. And I said, how do we know that that's an exhaustive list? Because the new agent that came in said, hey, I want to see all this, and this. I think he was going crazy. I was going crazy with all these lists we had to put together, all these spreadsheets. So I called the county and asked them if they could give me a list of all the parcels in Munhall that you have under the Borough of Munhall, Munhall Borough, whatever. And this came back with 22 parcels. So obviously, we know the 1900 West Street is the borough building, the fire department. But there was about, a good, maybe 15 that Dave, Bob, and I rode around and looked at all the parcels and just to see where they were. A lot of them were on West Run Road, where there's a creek and there's a parcel beyond it. They're not going to do that.
Is that the borough property
Yes.
down along there?
All the ones that we looked at were the borough of Munhall. So we went and we looked at ones that might be. Now there's a 3 lots, 2 in Virginia, or 2 in McQueen, 1 in Virginia, which looks like a triple lot. Well, somebody might want that. So we looked at some other lots. There's a lot on James Street. It looks like it's the end of this person's yard. They might want that. I don't think anybody else is going to want it, but the people right there might want it. So we looked at these lines and said, what do we got to lose? We got to take care of it, cut the grass and everything. What if somebody else wants to make the yard bigger or whatever they want to do? And that's how we came about this.
I know there's that little piece of property down by James and Edward Street that I think the homeowner, I think the borough has to go down and cut it versus the homeowner. There's a little sliver down there. Would that be considered one of the parcels that you're going to auction off? Or? Do you know what I'm talking about? Come down Woodlawn, make
if it looks like that somebody could use it and it looks like it's probably one of them.
Okay. But you will make a listing of what you're going to put out here.
I have a listing, a council has a different.
Okay, so if you'd like to come down and look at it.
We're more than happy to come down and look at it.
Thank you.
And see the lots too.
Okay.
And you'll see all 22 if you want.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Motion 4, the hours that the summer help will be working. Will they be working full 8 hours?
6 to 2.
Six-
If they're 16.
6 to 2?
If they're 16 years old, right, Bob? At 16, they can work 8 hours. Under 16, they only work 7.
I believe all 16-year-olds do.
Pardon me?
I believe they all are 16.
They're all, yeah.
Motion 5, I see I'm up for the zoning board reappointment, and I would like to be reappointed.
Hey, you're not allowed to do that.
Well, I have been on the zoning board for X amount of years, and my dedication and the decisions we made, I think have always benefited Munhall Borough, so I'll just do that.
On here, just to touch on that, we got that impression when you sent the letter, said my term is up, I'd like to be reconsidered.
I
for
just
2
thought I'd
years.
let you know.
Just remind us, we always need reminding.
You keep track of those terms good one for us, though.
Mine, we got most of them from you to begin with.
Actually, there's a 3rd spot open too, isn't there?
Well, no, actually, there's 3 of us, which it shouldn't fall like that.
There
There's
should
3.
be, but
There's 3 on.
didn't James Reese move out of the borough?
He did move, but we have, Bill Pelver is the alternate, which his is up, but Reese's falls into another place, another year, so would have to go ahead because you try not to appoint everybody at the same time. You try to have staggers, but yeah, but I don't think Jeff turned his resignation in. Did he move on?
I understand he's living
Yeah, he did.
out of the borough.
He moved on. We
Because
got
he
the
told
lien
me he
letter.
was gonna send his resignation in, did he? I don't know.
Yeah,
if he
I
did.
don't know, he didn't turn it
Okay.
in.
How would that work?
But Jeff's term is
We,
different.
his term's
Yeah,
not
that's
up, but Donna's and Tom Burke's
Mine,
are.
Tom Barkin, and the alternate,
And the
Bill Pelver.
alternate moved out of the borough.
Well, whose term is not up and is still on the board?
Reese, Jeff
Jeff
Reese.
Reese,
If
but
he
he,
doesn't resign, we can't replace him.
Yeah.
Even though he's out of the borough?
Yeah, he moved out of his
Oh,
borough
he did leave the
without
borough.
notifying.
no, I did talk to him, just to clarify, and he did say he was gonna go ahead and, send a letter, and I'll get a hold of him again unless you just wanna do it on your own.
We know he moved out,
We know
but
he
we got a leave
moved
letter.
And then his replacement should be for the remainder of his term, so you maintain the same staggering.
His wife was on the rec board, she resigned, I know she sent a
Yeah,
letter
she sent a
to
letter.
the rec board resigning from the rec
So
board.
whatever, yeah, that needs to be indicated
Yeah, it
separately.
would be the remaining of him,
The
so
remainder
not
of his
everybody.
term, it'll be different from the new appointments, which will be full terms.
So back to it after
the
right.
filling of
Okay.
Two facial, two new, and one fulfilling Jeff Reese's term for 1 year.
So is that 1 year left?
Yeah.
Is that right, Donna? 1 year for Jeff left?
Jeff has one left.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
one
looking
for
for
one.
one.
Actually, his term would expire,
Right?
wait, how we're going back, his term would, ours, because from what you're filling from 2018, correct? When our terms expired, you were saying?
Right.
Okay, so Jeff would expire on 2019, so if you're gonna go 3 years, then you would add the 3 years to the 19.
No, they're saying he would only serve until 19.
He's gonna finish
Right.
his.
Yeah,
That's what I'm just,
Yeah.
we should elect someone or appoint someone just to finish the term.
Yeah, there's 2 full-term appointments and 1 appointment to fill the unexpired term, the
Till his
main portion,
expired,
wherever
yeah.
that is.
Be the end of
Wherever
the
that
year.
is, yeah.
Okay.
And then that opens up a seat on the Park and Rec board too.
That would open a seat up there too, correct? Okay, and I'm assuming the engineer will be advertising the paving projects?
Yes,
And where will you be advertising that at?
we've done Valley Mirror and we've done Post Gazette in the past. We're hoping to get it advertised probably within the next week or 2. We'd like to award at the, well, I would like to give them the opportunity to award at the next council meeting.
Okay.
So whatever makes the most sense, it's obviously cheaper to go in the Valley Mirror.
Do you send any of these out to other companies?
We put them up on all sorts of contractor boards like
Okay.
Dodge Analytics, Pittsburgh Builders, you know, that's really where people see it. It's a formality, we have to advertise it legally.
And we will get the paving done early so they're not out with flashlights like they did my street years ago.
It's February, we're talking about paving.
I know we are.
That's pretty good, right?
Just check it.
All right.
Like I said, they did my street with flashlights the year they paved it. And everybody knows I always ask about the paving projects.
Try to avoid that.
Yes, motion 8 and 9.
Go.
Joe. This is for me. Do we know what will be, our balance once all the bills are paid?
Yeah, off the top of my head. It's in the neighborhood of $1,570,031.
Any sense?
32, isn't it? I always say.
Yeah, I think that's what you always say.
32.
I thank you. The other motion that you're gonna add to the agenda, to approve the referendum of understanding of the drop program.
Yeah,
Now-
actually, there'll be 2 motions.
Two motions?
I'll remind you of the second one after you finish this question.
Okay, now, you had said this person was gonna put in for retirement?
Well, he's put in his application with a draw program, so he's officially retired for purposes of his pension, throws and loans. Nobody puts any more money into it, but he still has a right to work as a police officer for 3 years. That's the essence of a drop program.
Okay. So his pension will freeze.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
retired for pension purposes only, but can still
He can
work as
still
an
work.
officer. yes.
Okay. And the second one you were gonna add to it?
If I listened correctly to our engineer, we need a motion to authorize the engineer to get quotes and prepare specifications for an environmental study and demolition of Willis building. Would that be appropriate?
That's accurate.
Based on what he said.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
I did catch that as one of them, but are we gonna be advertising for that in the Valley Mirror, or are we gonna advertise elsewhere for that one?
First, we need to get a survey done. That's a
Okay.
professional service. So we don't need to advertise or whatever, we just get quotes. We'll probably get a couple, a few. If we're happy
Okay.
with the first one we get, we might go with that. That's up to council.
Okay,
Then, once we take those findings and turn it into a project, that will be advertised. Where, that's months.
months down the road. Now you, in your report, you had mentioned something about 2005 was the last report for the asbestos report. Well, that should pretty much,
It covers a lot, but we're gonna let the professionals tell us what they need to do to give us update and let us
okay,
safely make plans.
okay, that's fine. And you did mention about a grant for playgrounds?
I did.
Okay, I just want council to be aware, to remember what happened to the last playground grant that we did get.
19th
I
Avenue?
believe it was for the 19th Avenue,
Remember that.
and it was for the 12th Avenue playground.
This could even be used for things like fencing, catch basins, just maintenance type things
Okay.
that the borough would,
But I
can at
believe-
least split the cost.
Okay, I understand it, is what I'm saying, but you're gonna write the grant, correct?
No, the Steel Valley is, but they need my help.
CLOG's gonna write the grant.
They need my help with the
Okay,
technical
I
aspect.
understand that, but if you go to designate it for the playground, just be careful. Don't designate it for one playground, because that could be the death of our playground. Because with the track record it has, you did the 12th Avenue, you did the 19th Avenue, and don't forget, years ago, you did sell a playground for sheriff's sale property. Went up for sheriff's sale. So, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right.
Excuse me.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, that's all right, I can wait.
The only thing on your, I'm sorry, Michael, Jack, please. The code, motion 3, the code red emergency system. I mean, I think it is a fantastic idea. But I do know sometimes when they buy in, depending on the price you pay, depends on what emergencies, and sometimes, I had to be involved with one, and my phone all night long would go if any type of thing was wrong in the area I was at. So depending on what you're actually considering code red emergency.
You signed up for what you want to hear. When you go on the website, you put on the website what you want on there. What you want to come up as a code red.
Okay, what about the folks who don't have computers? Like, I'm thinking, to me, the people who use code red, that it would most benefit are the seniors who don't have computers, like they get a phone call. Maybe I'm mistaken, maybe you don't have that
Yeah,
much.
they could call 1-800 number and they could sign up and they will call their home phone.
Home phone, cell phone, email, text message.
I understand, but, okay, I just look at it as, if you're going to have to explain it to senior citizens as to what they may need to sign up for, and also what area is it covering? I mean, if West Run Road, if there are certain...
They choose that too. They choose the area that they want to be discussing.
Okay.
So if they just want to go into Munhall Gardens, they could document it where they want it to go. And anything up in Munhall Gardens was the only time they get notified. Or they can do all Munhall.
What do you think if we do maybe have a class for the seniors up here in the community room?
Great idea.
Because we're learning too. It's new to us, new to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking,
It would be so good.
Explain everything to the seniors.
We'll even send Becky out to everyone's location and help teach her.
The fire hall. The churches. The bingo.
And the other thing, with the motion that will be added regarding the environmental survey, I don't know in Pennsylvania if you have to specifically state to do a core sample for the asbestos on the plaster or not, but...
I'm not an expert. We're going to bring experts in, and they're going to tell us what needs to be done, and we're going to evaluate it.
Right, but okay, sometimes left hand doesn't talk to right hand. I'm assuming if you're looking at Willis, you're gonna wanna tear down some of those walls. If you don't tell the environmental people, hey, we're gonna be doing major renovations.
We're gonna let them know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question on the agenda, and it's directed at Mark Fallon. Mark, you are a candidate for 4 of these commissions. I'd like you to give them to me in order, because I'd like to give you a vote. In what order would you, we're not going to appoint you to all 4, I
I
don't
told
think.
Becky that, this is sort of a mix-up between me and Joe, but I was just, the zoning board is the only one.
That's what you're interested in?
Yeah. So vote for me instead of Don.
I don't come to the meetings and ask questions.
I'm sorry, Mark, but when it says, is it too late to apply for the open board positions, I would assume you meant all positions. If you would have said, is it too late to open position for the zoning board, I would have taken that, that you only want to go in the zoning board. Retirement's treating you very good.
I was surprised.
You don't want to say that busy, Mark. You like to be involved, but on all those.
You have more time on your hands now.
Hey, and did you teach this week too?
They called me, I didn't go.
Okay, anyone else? Agenda items?
I have a question on the zoning hearing board. Is there an alternate now?
Yes, I believe there is.
Is there 1 or 2 alternates?
There's one alternate.
Is there sometimes 2 alternates?
There's only been 4 members on the zoning board for the last how many years? There's been 3 regular appointments and 1 alternate.
And we have an alternate. Do they have a year? Do they have a term?
Their name's on here also. It's William Felder. He was the alternate. I had mentioned that when I was speaking earlier.
Okay.
You can have up to more members, but Munhall has just always kept it at 4 like they have.
So there could be another alternate if they wanted, or
There-
you could have 5
You-
members.
You could have more. It's the discretion of the municipality, the borough, however they want to have it.
My question is, what role would the alternate play? Does the alternate have a vote in every meeting, or only when someone isn't there?
The alternate's vote is only counted when one of the regular members are not at the meeting.
And I believe the key is you have to have an odd number.
Right.
And the alternate,
or 5, and then.
the alternate can sit in and listen to me.
The alternate can sit and give comment and input.
Right, but when it comes time to vote, they don't per se vote. But
No.
if someone was there and say they sat in on one of the meetings and they didn't vote, then the alternate would vote in that, in the case of the person who didn't, who wasn't there.
Well, the alternate, it is true. It's, well, if one of the regular members isn't at the meeting,
Right.
then they can go ahead and vote.
Okay. Anyone else with agenda item questions? No, I see none. Okay, we're moving on to items for consideration. Becky?
Greg, if I could clarify with you that last motion.
Absolutely, I said that quickly.
That's okay, I got part of it, but not all of it.
Maybe just have Greg read it.
I'll read it when we get to
That'll
it.
be fine.
Defer.
Thank you.
On the last 2 maybe, right? Okay, Beck.
All right, motion to approve Solicitor Vashvik to begin process of auctioning off 9 borough-owned parcels.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman
Second.
Sassoon, second by Councilman Ballas, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays. Motion carries.
Motion to approve the new 2019 agreement with Sable Kennels for the monthly amount of $225.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ballas, second by Mr. Bodine. Comment on a motion, I want to remind everybody, this is a non-kill shelter. So I wouldn't vote for a shelter that euthanized it.
And it's been our dog catcher
And it
for
is
years
our
under different
previous
names.
dog catcher, and I believe that this is the same rate.
Yes.
This is, there's no increase.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to authorize the borough manager to set up the code red emergency mass notification service for the borough in the amount of $2,983.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bonnadille.
Second.
Second by Councilman DeShawn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Excuse me, one
Oh, sorry.
second. I think that actually the number's incorrect. The
The
site.
number?
I think the numbers are
Let's go
inverted.
through it quick, Joe.
Just noticed that. I have the contract, but mine says 2893.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's 2983 on his.
Okay.
28.
You want me to reread it?
Except for $90.
That's right.
He has 2893 on his.
Well, Greg, that's the contract. Greg saved us $100.
Thank you, Greg.
90, actually.
We're saving.
You want me to read the motion again?
Read the motion
I will.
again, at the amount that Greg has on the contract.
Sure. Motion to authorize the borough manager to set up the code red emergency mass notification service for the borough in the amount of $2,893.
Okay. We already have a motion.
So moved.
By Mr. Shawn. Second by Mr. Petruzzi. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to hire Nate McCullum, Alex Lagueros, Silas Krupa, Evan Kostelnik, Anthony DiGiannario, I always mess them up, Aiden DiGiannario,
Pretty good.
Jacob Tishon, Alex Casper, Jameson Mays as 2019 Public Works Summer Help at the rate of $8.50 per hour.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Mr. Councilman DeShawn, second
Yeah,
by
I
Mr.
did not make that
Petruzzi.
motion.
Oh, no, motion by Councilman Bonnadille, second by Councilman Petruzzi. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye on all except, I'll abstain on Jacob.
Okay.
You're, okay, one abstention on
I
DeShawn.
discouraged him from
And one abstention on Kostelnik for Harvey, and by Councilman DeShawn, abstention on DeShawn.
Okay.
Okay. Nays? Motion carries.
Gentlemen, if you don't already know, you have a separate vote sheet that, so that you can keep tabulate your votes for tonight for these.
Yeah, you might maybe make it 5A, 5B, C, and D,
Okay.
and we'll vote on each commission. Just a suggestion.
Okay, A, B, C.
Now, do they need, Greg, do the applicants need a motion to, do they need their name brought up on the floor? Or do we just vote from this list? We just
Here's a number of ways to do this. Because the way the sheet is set up, and I can offer you alternative methods of accomplishing this, but the most efficient method, and you have the tally sheet set up, is you would make a roll call vote, and each council person would then pick their three. So for example, planning, Councilman Ballas, who are your three candidates? And we check that off and work through the entire body of council. And then at the end, whoever has 4 more votes gets the appointment. With the exception of when we get to zoning, now we have to distinguish because we have a full term for a full board member, then we have a completion of an unexpired term, and we have an alternate. So they all have to be done separately.
Okay, we need to do the alternate.
But the other ones, they can just choose the names. So enterprise zone, name your 2. The sewer authority, name your 1.
Well, for the zoning board, we vote, we can vote for the alternate and vote for, the remaining,
Yeah, but I think you'll have to, it might be easier just to do that separately. In other words, with the zoning. Yeah, who first is the appointment for the full term of a full board member. Next to, there's 2 of those?
There's 2
Yeah,
full
two.
term
Yeah,
full,
2 of those,
one
then next.
alternate, and then one
And
is
then
resigning
retrees.
for the.
Unexpired term, and last would be the
Yeah.
alternate.
Separate motion.
Okay.
So there's 3 motions for the zoning.
So just, start with, like Mr. DeShawn said, start with planning. Have everybody name their 3 and then add them
Are
up.
you are gonna take Mr. Fallon off all the other 3, just so you can in on one?
I think if he wants to.
That's what he expressed.
Okay.
His request.
Okay. Motion to appoint the persons to serve on the boards and commissions. The number of persons and list is below. And then I will start with the planning. Councilman Ballas,
Kenneth Gibbs, Janice Lorden, Jason Carter.
Councilman Ingles,
Jason Carter, Janice Lord, Kenneth Gibbs.
Councilman Petruzzi,
Kevin Gibbs, Janice Lorden, and Jessica Carter.
Councilman Stein, oh, I apologize. Councilman Tishon?
Kenneth Gibbs, Janice Lorden, and Maureen Fry.
Councilman Bodadian?
Kenneth Gibbs, Janice Lorden, Jason Carter.
President Falls?
Jason Carter, Janice Lorden, and Lois Brenner.
And do you want me to announce who they are now?
Yep.
Okay, so your three new are Kenneth Gibbs, Janice Lorden, and Jason Carter. Okay.
I want to thank all applicants. We had a lot of good applicants. I mean, every one of these would have made a good planning commission member.
Okay, the Steel Valley Enterprise Zone, we'll need to choose two. Councilman Ballas?
Mr. Ingalls and Mr. Satara.
Councilman Ingles?
You can because there's no compensation, so you may.
I'll vote for Harvey Ingalls and Joseph Terra.
Councilman Petrusi?
Harvey Ingalls, Joseph Terra.
That's a first.
Councilman Tishon?
Two incumbents, yeah, Mr. Inglis and Mr. Satira.
Councilman Bodadian?
Mr. Ingalls and Mr. Satara.
President Falls?
Ingalls and Satara.
And your two will be Mr. Councilman Ingles and Joe Satara.
And by the way, I will note, I just learned this earlier, I actually think the third applicant that didn't receive any votes may not even be eligible to serve on this board based on the criteria that are in place for the enterprise zone, meaning you have to be a city council person and/or own a business in the borough. And I don't believe that Leah Kuzak meets those qualifications. As far as I know, didn't matter, but she didn't get the votes, but she may have been ineligible anyway.
You know, something, next time we do this, we should have that.
Okay. So we will choose, for the zoning board, we'll choose the two open positions first.
There are two, I just want to clarify this, and we'll talk about it just so we're clear. There are two open seats for full board members as opposed to an alternate. Is that correct, Donna?
That is correct.
All right, so first vote will be pick two to take the full terms of sitting board members.
Okay. Okay. Councilman Ballas?
Ms. Jeshman and Tom Burke.
Councilman Ingles?
Dresden and Burke.
Councilman Petrusi?
Dreshman and Burke.
Councilman Tishon?
Dreschman and Burke.
Councilman Bodadian?
Dreshman and Burke.
And President Falls?
Dreshman and Burke.
So your two.
By the way, they're incumbents.
Okay, so your two will be Donna.
Thank you.
Yes. And now we're going to vote for the one that's going to replace Mr. Reese for a 1 year,
The remainder of the time.
for the remainder of his term. Okay.
I have a question before we start.
Mhm.
If we take one for a 1 year term, we vote him as an alternate, him or her?
We still have to vote on an
No,
alternate.
the alternate,
I mean, can we make him an alternate, or her?
You can,
The one that's gonna fill a 1 year term?
you still have to vote on an alternate tonight. So
Then I
you
vote
can,
for myself for the 1 year.
Could be the only vote.
And after that 1 year, can I automatically vote now for that person to be the alternate?
After 1 year, you would reapply.
Then you reapply.
you would reapply.
the 1 year term is a sitting board member, it's finishing the term. You can't change that to an alternate. Has to be for a regular board member finishing the unexpired term. Now, the other thing is Pelger is now the alternate. Is that
He
what
is
he's
the
applied for
alternate, yes.
to remain as the alternate?
Pardon me?
Is he applied for to remain as the alternate? Is he?
You applied for full time, I think.
Well, in any event, Pelger's the existing alternate. We're now not voting, well, his term expired. You're just voting on to finish the unexpired portion of the term, which is only 1 year, and it's not an alternate position.
So after that 1 year, we have to vote for an alternate.
No. Then they're gonna start a new 4-year term. All right.
All right, this is for the replacement. Councilman Ballas?
Mr. Fallon.
Councilman Engels?
Mark Fowler.
Councilman Petruzzi?
Mark Fallon.
Councilman Tishon?
Mark Fowler.
Councilman Bonadian?
Mark Fallon.
President Falls?
Mark Fallon.
All right, Mark Fallon is the replacement. The alternate, now we're choosing the alternate. Councilman Ballas?
Mr. Pelger.
Councilman Engels?
Mr. Fowler.
Councilman Petruzzi?
Mr. Pelger.
Councilman Tishon?
Mr. Pelger.
Councilman Bonadian?
Mr. Pelger.
President Falls?
Bill Pelger.
All right, and Mr. Pelker is the alternate again. Now we need to choose one for the sewer authority. Councilman Ballas?
Mr. Shamus.
Councilman Engels?
Larry Shums.
Councilman Petruzzi?
Larry Shamus.
Councilman Tishon?
Mr. Shamus.
Councilman Bonadian?
Larry Shamus, incumbent.
And President Falls?
Larry Shamus.
Mr. Shamus is the inspector. Motion to approve the January 2016, January 16, 2019 minutes.
Motion by Councilman Tishon. Second by Councilman Bonadian. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I want to abstain, I wasn't here for that.
Okay. And one abstention, any nays? Motion carries.
That web designer couldn't get the minutes on from last month?
No, we can't put them up until they're signed after the vote for this meeting. Motion to advertise the 2019 paving projects.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Ballas, second by Councilman Engels. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to pay bills for the period January 15, 2019 through February 19, 2019, summarized as follows, the total being $337,470.46.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Engels, second by Councilman Bonadian. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to approve payroll for the period of January 10th to January 24th, total being $286,681.87.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Ballas, second by Councilman Petruzzi. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we need some additions.
The added motion that I have is motion to approve the revised memorandum of understanding with regards to the drop program.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Tishon, second by Councilman Engels. All in favor, so by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Greg, I'll let you know now.
Yeah, the last add-on motion is motion to authorize the borough engineer to get quotes and prepare specifications for an environmental study and demolition of the Willis building.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Tishon, second by Councilman Petruzzi. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries. Okay, other additional items for the body?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. By Councilman Bonadian, second by Councilman Tishon. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays?